It didn't start with a miracle, a sudden win, or a big breakthrough. It started with a decision so small that no one noticed, but it changed everything. Every morning, Daniel woke up with the same heavy feeling, the sense that his life was stuck. He wasn't failing badly, but he wasn't moving forward either. His dreams felt distant, almost unrealistic, as if they belonged to someone else. He waited for motivation, for the right moment, for a sign that things would finally change. One evening, exhausted and frustrated, Daniel came across a simple idea written on a torn page of a book. You don't need to be better than everyone. You only need to be 1% better than yesterday. At first, it sounded too small to matter. 1%? What difference could that possibly make? But something about it felt calm, honest, and achievable. No pressure to transform overnight, no impossible promises, just one small step. That night, Daniel made a quiet decision. The next day, he wouldn't try to change his whole life. He would just improve one tiny thing, his habits, his focus, his effort by only 1%. He didn't know it yet, but this small choice was the beginning of a powerful transformation. The next morning, Daniel woke up earlier than usual. Not by an hour, just 10 minutes. No dramatic routine, no sudden discipline, just 10 quiet minutes where he chose not to scroll, not to rush, but to breathe and plan his day. He asked himself a simple question. What is one small thing I can do today better than yesterday? The answer wasn't impressive. He decided to focus fully on one task at work instead of multitasking. No phone, no distractions, just attention. At first, it felt uncomfortable. His mind kept drifting, looking for excuses to stop, but he reminded himself, just 1%, not perfection, not excellence, just a little better. By the end of the day, nothing extraordinary had happened. No applause, no sudden success, but something subtle had changed. Daniel felt slightly more in control, slightly more proud of himself. That night, he realized an important truth. Progress doesn't shout, it whispers. And for the first time in a long while, Daniel went to sleep believing that tomorrow could be different, not because of luck, but because of consistency. After a few days, Daniel began to notice something frustrating. Nothing around him seemed to change. His life looked the same, his bank account was the same, his position at work was the same. The world hadn't reacted to his efforts at all. A quiet doubt crept into his mind. What if this 1% idea is useless? That's when most people stop. But Daniel remembered something important. Seeds grow underground long before they break the surface. So he kept going. He read 2 pages instead of none. He walked 10 minutes instead of staying still. He listened more carefully instead of interrupting. Each action felt insignificant on its own, almost laughable, yet he stayed consistent, even when motivation disappeared. One evening, looking in the mirror, Daniel realized the real change wasn't external, it was internal. He trusted himself more. He no longer waited to feel ready. He acted first. And without realizing it, he had crossed a powerful line. He became someone who keeps promises to himself. That change, though invisible, was far more valuable than any immediate result. 1 week turned into 2, and something unexpected happened. Daniel didn't need to force himself as much anymore. What once felt heavy now felt natural. Waking up a little earlier wasn't a battle. Focusing on one task no longer drained him. The small actions began to connect, like gears slowly starting to turn together. This was momentum. Daniel realized a powerful truth. Motivation doesn't create action. Action creates motivation. Each 1% improvement made the next one easier, not because life became easier, but because he became stronger. His confidence wasn't loud or arrogant, it was quiet and stable. He stopped asking, "Can I do this?" and started saying, "I'll try."
People around him didn't notice a big change yet, but they felt something different. He spoke with more clarity. He reacted less emotionally. He showed up consistently. And consistency, he learned, is more impressive than talent. For the first time, Daniel understood that success isn't a single moment, it's a direction. And with every small step, he was finally moving forward. One morning, Daniel looked back and felt surprised, not by a sudden victory, but by distance. He was no longer where he used to be. The small habits had quietly stacked on top of each other. 10 minutes became 30. 2 pages became a chapter. One focused task became a productive day. None of it felt dramatic while it was happening, but together it created a visible shift. That's when Daniel understood the secret most people ignore. 1% improved daily doesn't add up, it multiplies. While others waited for motivation or the perfect plan, Daniel was building something invisible but powerful. He wasn't chasing success anymore, he was becoming someone aligned with it. Even his failures felt different. When he missed a day, he didn't quit, he simply returned the next day. No guilt, no drama, just continuity. And that's when it became clear. Success isn't about never falling, it's about refusing to stop standing back up. For the first time, Daniel didn't fear the future. He trusted the process because he was proof that small, consistent improvement was already changing his life. Change has a strange way of becoming visible all at once. One day at work, a colleague asked Daniel how he had become so focused lately. Another commented on his calm under pressure. They spoke as if something extraordinary had happened, yet Daniel knew the truth. There was no secret shortcut, no sudden transformation, just daily, quiet effort. This attention felt uncomfortable at first. Part of him wanted to explain everything, to justify himself, but instead, he stayed silent and kept working. He had learned that results speak best when discipline stays quiet. What surprised him most wasn't the recognition, it was how little he needed it. His motivation no longer depended on praise, it came from progress, from keeping his word to himself every day. That's when Daniel realized another powerful lesson. When you focus on improvement, validation becomes optional. While others chased approval, he chased alignment between who he was and who he wanted to become. And that alignment gave him a confidence no applause could replace.
Not every day felt strong. One morning, Daniel woke up tired, unmotivated, and empty. The excitement was gone. The routine felt boring. The old voice returned. "What's the point? You've done enough." This time, something was different. He didn't argue with the feeling. He didn't wait for inspiration. He simply acted at the lowest possible level. 1 page, 5 minutes, one small task, and that was enough. Daniel learned a crucial rule. On hard days, you don't aim to grow, you aim to not break the chain. Progress didn't stop because motivation disappeared. It continued because discipline had replaced it. He understood that success isn't built on good days, it's protected on bad ones. That evening, Daniel smiled quietly. He had just unlocked a new level of strength, the ability to move forward even when he didn't feel like it. And that ability changed everything. At some point, Daniel stopped trying to improve. He simply was someone who improved. The small daily actions had reshaped how he saw himself. He was no longer someone who wants to succeed, but someone who shows up even when it's uncomfortable. His identity had shifted, and with it, his results. He noticed something powerful. When his identity changed, choices became easier. He didn't debate whether to work on himself, it was just what he did. just like brushing his teeth or breathing. Daniel understood a deep truth. Lasting change doesn't start with goals, it starts with identity. Goals tell you where to go, identity determines whether you stay. By improving 1% each day, he wasn't just building skills, he was building character. And character, he realized, is what carries you forward when excitement fades. Without announcing it to anyone, Daniel had become someone new. One afternoon, Daniel sat quietly and reflected on his past self. The difference was undeniable. Not because he was suddenly rich, famous, or powerful, but because the gap between who he was and who he wanted to be had narrowed. He was no longer dreaming from a distance, he was walking toward those dreams every day. That's when he noticed something most people never do. The pain of discipline had become lighter than the pain of regret. Before, avoiding effort felt comfortable, but it came with frustration and self-doubt. Now, effort felt demanding, but it came with pride and peace. Daniel realized why many people quit. They choose short-term comfort over long-term alignment. He had chosen differently, not once, but daily. And in that choice, repeated quietly, his future was being shaped, whether the world noticed or not.
The proof didn't arrive with fireworks. It came on an ordinary day, during an ordinary challenge, one that would have overwhelmed Daniel in the past. A tight deadline, pressure, uncertainty. This time, he didn't panic. He broke the problem into small steps, focused on progress instead of perfection, and moved forward calmly. When the task was done, he paused, not in celebration, but in awareness. He saw it clearly now. The 1% improvements had prepared him for moments like this. Success hadn't changed him in that moment. Preparation had. Daniel understood something deeply reassuring. When growth is consistent, pressure becomes manageable. Life doesn't get easier, but you get better. And that was the real proof. Without trying, Daniel began to influence others. Not through speeches, not through advice, but through example. People asked him how he stayed disciplined, how he kept moving forward without burning out. Daniel never gave a long explanation. He simply said, "I try to be a little better than yesterday." That was it. He learned an important lesson. The most powerful teaching is visible behavior. When people saw his consistency, they felt inspired, not pressured. His calm progress made others believe change was possible without suffering or extremes. Daniel realized that success shared quietly multiplies. When one person improves, it gives permission for others to do the same. And without chasing it, he had become a leader by walking the path, not by talking about it. Just when everything felt stable, life tested Daniel. An unexpected setback hit, something beyond his control. Plans were delayed, progress slowed. Old fears tried to return, whispering that all his effort had been fragile. This time, Daniel didn't collapse. He remembered the core lesson that had carried him this far. 1% improvement isn't about speed, it's about direction. Even on days when he could only maintain, that was still a win. Even when progress paused, he refused to reverse. He adjusted, simplified, and continued with what he could control. Daniel understood that resilience isn't dramatic. It's quiet persistence in uncertain moments. And in facing resistance without quitting, he discovered a deeper kind of success, the kind nothing external can take away. By now, Daniel no longer underestimated small actions. He had seen what they could do. What once felt insignificant had become his greatest strength. While others searched for big opportunities, Daniel focused on small disciplines. While others rushed, he refined. While others quit when results slowed, he stayed patient. He understood a rare truth. Excellence is built in ordinary moments, repeated daily. He didn't try to do more than necessary, he tried to do what mattered slightly better each time, and that focus protected him from burnout, distraction, and comparison. Daniel realized that mastery isn't loud. It's quiet, consistent, and often invisible. And in mastering the small things, he had unknowingly mastered himself.
One evening, Daniel sat alone and reflected, not with pride, but with peace. He thought about the version of himself who used to wait for motivation, for perfect timing, for permission. That person felt distant now, not because he was ashamed of him, but because he had grown beyond him. Daniel realized something deeply freeing. He no longer feared wasted potential. Every day of small effort had removed that fear, layer by layer. Even if success took longer than expected, he knew he was honoring his abilities through action. He understood that true success isn't about reaching the top fast. It's about knowing you didn't quit on yourself along the way. And that knowledge brought a calm satisfaction no achievement could replace. Daniel never discovered a shortcut. He discovered something better. The secret of success wasn't intensity. It wasn't luck. It wasn't talent. It was 1%, every single day. He understood now that a small decision, repeated consistently, reshapes a life. Not overnight, not loudly, but permanently. Anyone could do it. No special circumstances required. The story didn't end with perfection or fame. It ended with alignment. Daniel woke up each day knowing one simple truth. If he became just a little better today, tomorrow would take care of itself. And that is how ordinary days create extraordinary lives, 1 quiet % at a time.